Now let's create a view model that will be used for the My Homepage widget. The data required in My Homepage is a current state value, that is, the counter value, and the necessary methods are the method that dispatches increment 1 action when the +1 button is pressed, and the method that dispatches increment 0 action when the +0 button is pressed. After creating the underscore view model class and declaring the final variable counter of integer type, the final variable increment 1 of the void callback type, and the final variable increment 0 of the void callback type, generate a constructor using the .data class generate extension. Next, create a static method from store that receives store as an argument and returns underscore view model instance, and give store.state as the value of the counter argument. Next, give the increment 1 argument a callback that dispatches increment 1 action using the store's dispatch function, and give the increment 0 argument a callback that dispatches increment 0 action using the store's dispatch function. Now let's connect the widget and the store connector. To reduce the scope of rebuild, we'll apply it to the column widget. We'll wrap the column widget in a store connector widget. As types, we give int and underscore view model. In converter callback that has store as an argument, the from store static method of underscore view model is called. Next, the column widget is returned from the builder callback that receives build context and underscore view model as arguments. At this time, to check whether the widget is being built, building is printed on the console in the builder callback. Replace 0 in the text widget with vm.counter. Call vm.increment1 in the onPressed callback of the first floating action button. Call vm.increment0 in the onPressed callback of the second floating action button. Now that everything is ready, let's run the simulator and test it. When the +1 button is pressed, 1 is incremented on the screen and building is also output to the console. Let's clear the console. This time, let's press the +0 button. There is no change on the screen, but building is still being output to the console. This means that the state has not changed, but the widget is rebuilding. This is not desirable. Then give true as the value of the distinct argument of store connector, and test after hard restart. Let's press +0 button. There is no change on the screen, but building is still being output to the console. In other words, you cannot perform performance optimization with only the distinct true option. What should I do? The manual says to override the equality operator in hash code. If you run the generate equatable of .data class generate extension, the equality operator and hash code are automatically overridden. Modify constructor to be a const constructor. Now that we have generated the equality operator and hash code, the distinct true option seems to work. Let's do a hard restart and test. Let's press +1 first. On the screen, 1 was incremented and displayed, and building was output on the console. And let's clear the console. Let's press +0 this time. While there is no change on the screen, building is still being output to the console. Why? We have seen this before. Anonymous function instances are assigned to increment 1 and increment 0. This way, even if the counter value is the same, the newly created underscore view model instance is always different from the old underscore view model instance. Let's delete the increment 1 and increment 0 from the props getter of the underscore view model. In other words, the comparison target is now limited to counter. Let's do a hard restart and run it again. Now, if you press 0, the value displayed on the screen does not change, but building is not output to the console either. Let's press the +1 button this time. When you press the +1 button, the screen changes and the building is also output to the console. This will prevent unnecessary rebuilds. However, the state dealt with in this app was a simple primitive type integer. What if state was an object? There are some caveats here. Let's take a look through the app.